Have you listened to an episode of our show and thought, hey, I've got a better idea than that? These guys are terrible. Well, that's really mean, and it makes me feel bad. But also, I've got good news for you. Announcing the Writers Room Game Show Notes Hotline. Call in and leave your better ideas on any of our past episodes, and we may play your idea live on the show for all to hear. That's Hollywood, baby. Make us look like fools. Call the Writers Room Game Show Notes Hotline. 1-866-HEY-WRGS. That's 1-866-439-9747.
Breaking a story is gross. It's gross, sweaty work, and it's only fun if it's going well. And it's only going well about 5% of the time. As a result, a lot of cool story ideas get left unmade. But with the Story Clock Workbook, you can break open your story ideas to quickly find an organic narrative structure, mining your ideas, resources, and inspiration for every last ounce of potential. Whether you're looking to write a screenplay, novel, sermon, wedding toast, ransom note, even a podcast ad, the Story Clock Workbook can help you get your story ideas out of your head alive. Learn more about how you can make writing less gross at plotdevices.co and get 20% off your first order by using the code GAMESHOW at checkout. But she completely did not read my last page, and when I got it back, she had just scribbled it out like it didn't exist, because the last page had Corduroy finding a bomb on the roof and having to and he couldn't defuse it, so he had to jump off while it exploded and catch a tree. And my teacher just pretended it never existed. It was like a perfect Corduroy book up until the last page where Corduroy had to defuse a bomb.
Corduroy jumping off a building with the bomb going off. That's
going to be our mandate.
Yeah, I want that to be in every episode. Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Seth.
And welcome back to the Writers Room Game Show. It's the podcast where every week we generate an original feature film idea from scratch in under 60 minutes, working from a set of random prompts given to us by a big Hollywood studio.
At the beginning of every episode, the studio, which is really just an iPhone shortcut, assigns us, the contestants, a new project consisting of 4 components: the genre, the tone, the demographic, and a studio mandate, which is basically just a random thing that the studio is requiring.
We then have 1 hour to develop a feature film idea that fits the assigned criteria with surprise roadblocks along the way.
At the end of the episode, we'll focus group the idea with one of our talented filmmaker friends and ask them focus group questions that you ask focus groups. Things like, would you recommend this movie to a friend? Would you recommend this movie to yourself? That's kind of what the question is, but I said it wrong. If they answer positively, we win, and so do you.
And if they answer negatively, we'll quit screenwriting altogether and then do it again next week. And that's about it. Oh, and I should also mention, in this episode, it's not just going to be me and you, Seth. We also have...
You've forgotten his name already.
I'm sorry.
No, you've forgotten.
What the hell?
He means nothing to you.
Come
on, Ryan Connolly. Let's leave Ryan.
It's just like being at home.
I did have an incredible intro prepared talking about your amazing short films and your amazing YouTube show, Film Riot, but you know what? It's Ryan Connolly.
But you couldn't remember the names of any of them, and you had to Google real quick. And like, oh yeah, this guy.
Oh man, welcome to the show, Ryan.
I'm happy to be here. I am the roadblock. I'm here to screw this whole thing up.
No,
and we are so excited to watch you screw it up.
It'll be an interesting experiment to add another person to this writing room, so to speak.
We thought you were the best one to try to do because
100%.
Because if it goes poorly, it'll be your fault.
Because it'll probably go poorly. So I'd say we know the outcome.
I don't know, man. The last one we recorded, these don't come out in a specific order, but the last one we recorded was the roughest.
It was pretty rough. Yeah.
Have you done any that you were like, you know what? Let's not use that one.
Yes, the one we just recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If the focus group hadn't been so funny, if we hadn't been laughing through the focus group because it was so bad, I think we would have been like,
I literally couldn't breathe because I was laughing so hard at how bad our movie was.
We would just hear each other saying like the key words from it and the titles. Like every time we would say the word plastotopia, we'd see the other one have to mute their mic or like hide from the microphone and laugh.
Yeah, if it hasn't come out yet, we can spoil, I guess, a potential title. Mira and the Synthetic Seas, Plastotopia Has Fallen. Book 1, C. Is the title or something like that.
I mean, it tells you that there's sequels. You know, this is IP we can expand on.
I missed that part. Everything before you said book 1, that's the name of every book. That's the name of the series. Mira and the Synthetic Sea, Plastopia Has Fallen. Book 3, Plastotopia Rising.
Part 1.
Oh, man. Perfect phone call. I wonder who it could be. Let me pick
Perfect
it up.
phone call. Perfect phone call.
Hello? Oh, hey, studio. Yeah, we're just hanging out. Oh, you'd like us to write a movie? All right. Okay, yeah, we'll check the email. Thanks so much. All right, bye. All right, they sent you an email, Seth.
I'm opening it right now. Oh, boys. This is going to be a good one. All right.
What do we got?
The studio is looking to write a film in the genre. They're actually using my nickname for this genre, which I've made up in a few plot devices blog posts. Egtam Legap, which stands for experts going to a mysterious location and getting attacked by things.
Okay.
That's the genre.
Uh-huh. I can get on with that. Yeah.
They would like the tone to be intimate. Connolly, I swear we didn't pre-prep this for you. I swear on my children, this was not pre-prepared.
Sex and violence. Let's do this.
Sexy creature violence. The demographic, they would like this to appeal to both men and women age 40 to 49.
Okay.
I don't know why that cracked up Ryan so much. Ryan thinks 40-year-olds are hilarious.
It's just so specific.
And the mandate, they actually would like a genre mash on this one, so we get to roll for another genre.
Uh-oh.
Genre match.
Whoa, what was that? Good God.
Okay, genre match. That's the first time we've got it. It's an exciting time.
This is exciting. First guest and first genre mash episode. Here we go.
Wow.
Guys, we hit the jackpot. Today, we're going to be writing a movie in which experts go to mysterious locations and get attacked by things, that it also exists within the spy movie genre.
Ooh. Okay.
And that's going to be intimate for men and women age 40 to 49. So an intimate spy movie where people go to an exotic location and get attacked by things.
The Writers Room Game Show has begun.
It's Bond meets Alien meets 50 Shades of Grey. It writes itself, really.
You know what? There is a lot already going on in this. Like, this is the most going on in one episode.
Well, I absolutely this is so great. I love that the genre itself is basically like plot. The genre that you created. What would you call it? The
Egtam Legap.
Yeah. So you basically have like a 3-act structure within the genre. So we just fit a spy movie and intimacy into that.
So let's open it up and see the Egtam Legap.
Yeah. Do you have any research or reference movies for?
So I guess we should talk about like comps and research. I am a little concerned about the target demo. Like what we've done in the past is like picked a cat. We've tried to just basically start with a cast that meant
I mean, yeah. 40 to 49, you Jason Statham, Mark Wahlberg.
Is that, I guess like Fast and Furious, would that be 40, 40? Like I'm trying to think of what.
That's a great question.
Well, when you think of movies,
I think
40
Fast
to
and Furious is
49
more
year
like
olds.
25 to 35.
Yeah, but now those 25 to 35 year olds are, well, they're us and we're not 40 yet. So,
Well, I just think of like really popular like 90s movies. It's like that was the sort of era, like they're young adults around that time. And that's for me, it's like the movies they really get into then, they basically are into for the rest of their lives. At least I feel like when I think of men 40 to 49, I just think of those kind of movies. Mission Impossible, I mean, that's 40 to 49 spy movie. I don't know. It's like very specific, but also kind of very broad and the kind of movies that those people would like.
I'm looking at a few comps that I have already, like in terms of story structure,
genre.
like Jurassic Park. We all know the structure there. We've got like, if you break it up into, so let's just because I tend to keep messing this up and saying the wrong act numbers. Act 1, is always normal world. The beginning of Act 2 is the arrival at whatever location they're going to, or it's the annihilation. It's entering into the shimmer. I'm at the beginning of Act 2.
Beautiful synth score.
Yes. Then up to the midpoint in Jurassic Park, it's like that's the good dinosaurs time. And then after the midpoint is the bad dinosaurs time. And then the beginning of Act 3 is like we're proactively getting off this island now. Like and it's also the third act is like when that big bad monster that you've been scared of the whole time, the one that thank God at least that one's not coming to get us. That's when that one comes to get us. So it's the raptors, for example. Once the raptors break out, we're into Act 3 in Jurassic. Annihilation, and then I want to look at aliens. I'm going to look at Annihilation, and then I'm going to look at aliens.
Are you pulling up your story clocks here?
Yeah.
I think Annihilation, you shift in Act 2 when they go into the shimmer.
Yeah.
definitely.
And Act 3 is the lighthouse. Once she gets to the lighthouse, and she dances with the Silver Surfer mime.
That's a weird comp, though.
It is a weird comp, but structurally though, it's still like the place that you fear the most, the cave you fear the most. Like that's Act 3.
Yeah.
Aliens.
She gets intimate with the Silver Surfer mime.
She does. You're right. There is some intimacy there. You know what? Annihilation is a very intimate.
I think so. I mean,
let's just remake Annihilation.
There's that.
If you throw in some spies, I think that would have been.
I mean, there's
her movie.
There's the whole. I mean, the subplot with her husband cheating on her and
sex scenes. Yeah, intimate.
Oh, I guess there is in that movie. Yeah.
I like how you were trying to actually be valid in like your observations, but I was like,
sex scenes.
Yeah, they're just instead of explorers and the Shimmer, they're spies. There we go. We got our movie. Okay, aliens. Talk about aliens.
Aliens, I mean, they arrival. Oh, my clock for aliens is really crappy because it's just the chapter list. I found a site that has chapter listings from DVDs and found a way to quickly make clocks out of it. So Express Elevator to Hell and Arrival, that's when they first get there. Newt, Rescue Mission, Cocoons, Battle, Ripley's Rescue. So what it tends to be is, it still is the something weird might be going. It still is like the horror structure that I talk about a lot, and that's in the Story Clock workbook. Again, we're not, the ads are where we hype the products, but I end up talking about them in here anyway. But with the first act, things are normal. First half of Act 2, things might be weird. Second half of Act 2, things are definitely weird. We should do something about it. The third act is doing something about it. And so Jurassic Park actually is that way. Like first half of Act 2 is all about like, look at these dinosaurs, aren't they great? And the smart people are like, yeah, they're great, but something's not right and something's going to go wrong. Mm. And then the second half of Act 2, things do go wrong. And then Act 3 is like, well, let's do something about it. And Aliens, they get to the planet, and Act 2 is like arriving at the planet. And the first half is like looking around and finding Newt and Ripley being all like, we really shouldn't be here, yada, yada, yada. And shit, it's the fan. And around the midpoint, that's when we're in like reactive mode to
it's all right behind me, isn't it?
Yes. I wish it was. On the Zoom call, there's actually a xenomorph behind you. And Annihilation, the Shimmer, they get to the Shimmer and they spend like the first half of Act 2. Like, I mean, people can die in the first half of Act 2, but it's really about...
It's when they're discovering all of the crazy monsters.
Yeah, the tape, watching the tape with Oscar.
Yeah, midpoint of Annihilation, I think, is where the one gets killed by the bear. The first time the bear really shows up.
Yeah, the bear takes Shepard. And they're like, we have to turn back. And they're like, no, to the lighthouse.
To the lighthouse.
To the lighthouse, sir.
Get to the lighthouse. And
that's the tone of Annihilation.
We have to figure out, like, where are they going? Like, where are they? I mean, it's really chicken or egg.
And I think taking a similar sort of plot, but sort of injecting the DNA of a spy movie into that, as opposed to maybe a monster movie, like all those are. Jurassic Park, I guess it's still that. And yeah, injecting the DNA of something more, I guess maybe Mission Impossible or...
Yeah, I've got, what do we got spy-wise? I've got Inception. I might have Skyfall in here. Yeah, I've got Skyfall. But if we want more of a straightforward spy thing, you're right. It's probably like Mission Impossible. So I've got the first one and I've got yours from Ghost Protocol. The first one's a weird structure for a movie. Honestly, Ghost Protocol is too. By the time you're at Ghost Protocol, they're really just writing it around the action set pieces.
Let's think about, now that we have this, why don't we think, since we have to go to a mysterious location, how about we sort of start with where are our characters going and what is the sort of the conflict before our spy and our...
Yeah, because if we know that, if we know the where, then we're going to know the who they are, because then that will probably inform what kind of expert they are.
Totally.
Well, I think actually the where should be determined by our spy movie idea, because it sounds like what might be a cool structure is, and there are caveats to this that I'll get to, but like basically like your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Yeah.
Yes, your mission is to go to this place and do this, and then you show up, and then wait, there's more going on here. This is Castle Wolfenstein, and oh no, zombies. Like that kind of thing. The caveat is that we can't.
It's a genre mash, so we should. I mean, I think it'd be okay if our spy is suddenly involved in something more supernatural.
Yes, but I do think we can't bamboozle the audience. We need to be cognizant that we are somehow setting it up, even in the first act, even if it's thematic, so that we don't just like suddenly drop aliens in the middle of our cowboy movie randomly, so to speak, as the old adage goes.
Okay, do you guys like, we've got like tropical landscape, like Jurassic Park. I feel like all these spy movies are in these incredibly beautiful, unique locations.
I always like the idea of, that's not done a ton, is, I mean, you kind of said Castle Wolfenstein line as a joke, but not necessarily a castle, but you go to Ireland and you have that sort of foggy, old,
Skyfall,
but now
feel.
Skyfall. Yeah. Exactly. Like that sort of feel like there's this thing that's ancient, but it's current day. I always like that sort of setting.
I like it if it's at like an old bunker too. Like if it's in like an old World War II.
There's some history there.
Bunker.
Well, that's
kind of
what's
a thing.
cool about it. It does give you a lot of layers because it's like, here's the top, but what if they do find this hatch and oh shit, this thing goes further and what's way down there? And that's pretty interesting.
The hatch.
Wait, are we just talking about Bad Robots Overlord? I think that's what we're writing.
Dude, that
now,
movie
essentially.
rules, dude.
Oh,
That movie
Sort
does
of
rule.
proto-zombies.
I also curse. This is not a cursing show, right? Like,
I know.
I gotta try to minimize
Ryan
that. Okay.
treats it like basic cable,
PG-13,
I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just try not to.
We give you one F word that we bleep.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
If you say more than that, we kick you out of the Zoom.
Just to get ejected.
We have the MPAA
We
watching
make you
over
leave
our
your
backs.
office. You leave your Zoom on, but you must get up, walk to your door, and slam it
But remain in the room.
so you can hear us without you. I like that.
I like that.
The staple of a spy movie, though, is not staple, but spy movies tend to have lots of locations,
Yes, yeah,
right?
it's not just centralized in that one. I mean, maybe that's can be where it starts though, because I like that. That's sort of mysterious, and I like that.
But does it also have to be like a globetrotting spy film, or could it be a film that's kind of like the experts go to a place and as it turns out there's a spy among them situation?
That's true, because
like one of them is there for different reasons than the rest of them are. They know that X is in this location and that's what they're really there for. It kind of has an Aliens vibe to it, right? Like he's there to bring this thing back.
Aliens.
Because the spy genre is very globetrotting, but the one that however you say it, expert going to mysterious location, is very much like they start at one spot.
What's so hard to get about that? I don't understand. Egg Tamla gapped.
I think it's kind of interesting to contain it a bit while still infusing some of that spy genre inside of it.
Yeah, it's got to be contained. It can't be globetrotting. But I do really love.
They're never going to give us an $80 million movie, Seth.
But you brought up you just made several great points, Connolly. You've got one, a good monster movie has got to be contained.
Yeah.
I can only think of a few that have broken that rule. Actually, I can't even think of them right now, but I'm just benefiting it out. There are a few that are great. In order for it to be great, it's got to be contained. But you also brought up that like we basically have a choice of like which genre are we, what's our base genre, and then and what are we putting the other genre elements into. So we either are making a spy movie that we're gonna make a monster movie in, or we're making a monster movie that we're gonna tell a spy story in. Personally, I think the former sounds more fun.
Tam Legap with spy movie elements.
I'm sorry. I meant the spy movie, like a movie about a spy that's told kind of like a spy movie, but then there are monsters in it, almost like a Mission Impossible or a James Bond, where the bad guy is engineering some kind of creature, or it's basically like a Johnny Quest episode is what we're talking about. The caveat is that we do not globetrot.
Yeah, which is kind of the spy movie thing, I feel like.
Is it though? I mean, like, I feel like it is because of Bond, and Mission took that up, but like, really the spy movie thing, like,
I guess those are the
what would
spy
be like
movies I
a
think of.
contained what would be a contained spy movie? I can't think of any.
Allied is kind of a contained spy movie, but that's also a romance film.
I haven't seen that one.
You have like Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is also globetrotting. But the new like Kingsman movies, those are kind of globetrotting. Is Bourne spy?
Bourne is a spy movie, 100%.
Yeah.
And he's globetrotting. But again, I want to go a little further back. So I'm going to search espionage thriller film. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Argo is a spy movie, technically. And that is not globetrotting. That is like, we're going to one location to do this. Bridge of Spies, this just has the word spy in it.
I personally like the one location thing just because to me, for like a monster kind of thing, even if it was set up to be a globetrotting thing and you think it's going to be that, and then by the time it gets to this location, it gets deeper and deeper, and now we're sort of locked in there. So like
all you really need to do is like you just need to do a cold open that's in some other location that's rad and goes all in the trailers, and then you have your main location of the movie, and like and maybe, you know, in the third act have it look different enough to where you have what looks like 2.5 locations in the movie, but looks like you're globetrotting. You globetrot by just going to 2 different locations, you know? I'm
fine with that, yeah. And we can set up this sort of the spy movie sort of feel in that opening prologue or whatever. Sort of establish this is the character, this is who she is.
Here are their skills.
Yes, exactly. And then we start our movie, you know, title, light the fuse, we got our title, and then now we're into our Egtem Legapt.
We don't have to keep calling it that. Our monster movie.
Yes, our monster movie.
Task Possible.
Yeah, and I like sort of setting an expectation and then like you're thrown into this other genre, but with the hero from a spy movie. That's a lot of fun, especially if there's, some gadgets involved. Yeah, it's interesting, Seth, because this is super fun and the genre thing, but this is also our only episode so far that we've kind of not had a mandate because it's an extra genre. And so now it
usually helps when there's a mandate.
Yeah, it's so broad that we're like creating it from scratch.
Well, we'll get a mandate halfway through. So right now, let's just have fun and talk about what do we really want to do for fun.
Totally.
Since we're actually allowed to do whatever. And I want to start with Connolly since you're our guest. Give us some ideas of what do you want to do if you have a spy movie that has a fun opener and a cool contained location for the most of it in which we're going to tell a monster movie. Like, what are some things you've always wanted to do for either of these genres?
I mean, I love monster movies and I love spy movies. And I like what Polly said, where you start with, that Mission Impossible team thing, that this is this group that's really good at X thing. And that's what they get, taken for. And then sent to this location, and then it shifts on its head a little bit. I love that because then I love the mousetrap factor of it, where they're sent here and then you build the mousetrap, and then midpoint is the mousetrap springing and off you go. So I like the idea of, instead of being, aliens is kind of very similar. There's these spies who shouldn't be caught in the mousetrap, but they are. But the mousetrap is supernatural in some way, that it's not the normal sort of thing.
Or is it? What can we do it in a way to where like the monster in Lost was for the first several seasons, for the first season before we ever saw like the smoke and knew it was a smoke monster, there was always the question of, is it a man-made thing? Is it even real? Like, can we do a monster movie kind of thing? But because it's a spy movie, have it always be there's a paranoia element to it of like, are we being played? Is one of us playing the rest of us? Are these monsters even real kind of a thing? Or is this actually all a giant conspiracy that's like some game that we're in the middle of and being played against us? Because then you have the paranoia aspect of a spy movie going on there too. And by the way, you said team members, and I realized this is amazing. We have a spy team that goes to a location, and that's the team that keeps getting killed off. Almost like the opening of Mission Impossible 1, where we're just going to have like team members that were...
Yeah. And they're really intimate with each other.
Naturally, yes.
As long as it doesn't go Scooby-Doo, right? Like, I hate when it's like, oh, it's monsters. No, it's not. It's a man-made thing.
I literally
that
thought
always
of Scooby-Doo
kills
when
me.
you started talking.
Yeah, it would have to be like, if it was like what you said, where it's like known throughout, like, no, this isn't it, this isn't it, this isn't it. And then it either is or then it isn't, but you're always setting that up. As long as it's not like, oh, it's monsters. JK, it's just me.
No. It's not a reveal. It's a constant uncertainty of like,
that's cool.
We give enough clues to where we need to like change what we think is going on throughout the film. And our protagonist does too. To where at one point we believe like it's like a murder mystery, essentially. Like, this person did it. Oh, that didn't even happen. Like this. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that because it could be exciting directorially too, because you get a little surreal and weird playing with those two elements.
So let me pitch you this. A parallel universe with teleporting tigers where Amelia...
Oh my gosh. Ryan,
it's like...
this is... on our episode, I'm going to say it was before this. It's our episode that we were talking about earlier, Mira, and the really long title. Seth, when we couldn't think of any ideas.
That's the title, by the way, Mira and the really long title.
Seth went to this Airtable where he has ideas and was listing off some old ideas, and
you've seen it, Connolly. It's it's every idea I've had even since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Remember.
And it was this really... I was like, oh man, this is really good. This is really good. And then he got to the end and it was like teleporting tigers that were coming. You could see his face like, oh, I forgot about this part.
I forgot about the tigers. I always do.
It's so good until then. And then it's brilliant.
That's most of my ideas. When I was a kid, we had an assignment that we were needed to pick a book. You can stop the timer, Polly, if you want. It won't be very long, I promise.
Countdown pause.
Where we were all assigned, our class was assigned to pick our favorite book, our book series, and write an installment of the book series. And I picked Corduroy, the bear. This is second grade, by the way. I wrote this Corduroy book that my teacher gave me stellar grade, and read it to the class as an example of like how to mimic another writer's like style and the style of whatever. Like, she loved it, but she completely did not read my last page. And when I got it back, she had just scribbled it out like it didn't exist, because the last page had Corduroy finding a bomb on the roof and having to and he couldn't defuse it, so he had to jump off while it exploded and catch a tree.
Incredible.
And my teacher just just pretended it never existed. It was like a perfect corduroy book up until the last page where corduroy had to defuse a bomb.
Corduroy jumping off a building with the bomb going off. That's
going to be our mandate.
Yeah, I want that to be in every episode.
Countdown resumed.
Okay, yeah, man, I really like that, especially in this really interesting location that if it's from our eyes at the beginning, it's a very normal, this amazing spy movie location, but it gets bigger and bigger and kind of becomes lots of different looks if it's, supernatural or if there's some sort of...
What's interesting too from a character element is with the cold open, you can kind of see like what each of these characters is comfortable with and good at. So then when you get into the mousetrap section, you can force them out of that entirely. And what they're good at, the faculties that they've had because of this occupation is entirely useless to them. And they need to do the opposite, which could be really fun.
Totally. You've got the Ethan Hunt, you've got the man in the chair, you got the Benji, got the muscle.
Right.
I think we play up all those tropes and sort of reverse, put them in.
Dude, the leader should die first. Like Ethan Hunt should die off the bat.
I don't know, man. That's an idea I feel like so many writers have thought of and it felt so fun. And then they when they do it, they either the movie sucks or they end up, they do it for like we talked about Lost. That was originally in the pilot of Lost, was that they wanted to make a show where they were just throwing away ideas in that thing because they were convinced they weren't going to make it. Cool, because it was a pilot that was going to happen no matter what. And they were convinced that the show would be canceled for a few episodes. So they were like, we're going to just jump the shark in every episode. So let's kill off the main character at the end. So the pilot, the airplane pilot that's they see like the bloody body in the tree at the end of the pilot in the pilot was originally supposed to be Jack. And then they realized after they wrote it this sucks for the audience. They don't know who to like invest in because who you just invested in, they killed off. That was a pre-Game of Thrones era of TV. So like, I don't know if I don't know. I mean,
that's not what I'm suggesting. Because I hate that sort of rug pull. It's annoying. Not, hey, invest in this person. JK, they're gone. It's like Deep Blue Sea. Samuel L. Jackson gets killed, and you totally don't expect that. You think he's going to be a driving force, but he's not our lead emotional investment.
The protagonist is not like the Ethan Hunt. It's one of the other characters, and we kill off the Ethan Hunt. Is what you're saying,
right? So Ethan Hunt's there is our protagonist's safety blanket. They follow them, but this person is someone who really needs to learn to take charge, lead themselves. And the second that's, once it's in the worst of it, that's when we rip off the person who you think is going to be, the driving force, but isn't our emotional connection, isn't, who we're necessarily
that person ends up being the bad guy in the end who actually faked their own death and orchestrated the death of the rest of the team.
And he pulls the mask off.
And he pulls the mask off.
And it is Ethan Hunt.
It is literally Tom Cruise.
Yeah, we literally are breaking Mission Impossible. Like
the entire budget is spent on Tom Cruise.
Oh, thank God.
Oh,
Studio's calling.
Halfway. They're calling. Here we go. You guys ready? Hello? Yeah. No, yeah, definitely not stalling. Yeah. Okay. No, we're doing we've got a full story prepared for you already. Yeah, this will just be icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, I got their email.
Seth got it. All right. See you later. Bye.
I don't know how I feel about this. They want this to generate Oscar buzz, and they want it so badly.
Oh no. More with this Oscar nonsense.
I think Polly knows where this is going.
Yep.
They believe they'll generate the most Oscar buzz if Meryl Streep plays multiple characters in the film.
Oh boy.
No, I got you. She's one of the team, but then she does all the mocap for the monsters. We're fine.
Oh, so it's like a Jumanji situation where it's like the actor plays the dad.
She's Andy Serkis, man.
Oh, Andy Serkis from King Kong, 100%. Yeah,
done. That's multiple characters. We're fine.
The Oscar buzz that will be generated seeing Meryl Streep in a mocap suit doing,
and we push that like crazy. We make it seem like the artists had nothing to do with the CG performance. It was all her. And then we'll start releasing like behind the scenes of her crawling on the ground.
This is it. Yes.
You bring up the idea of this is the moment when Seth pitches a terrible idea. I mean, I've already done that, but if you said Meryl Streep in a mocap suit, and I was like, well, what if that's in the movie? And then I thought,
kind of like Mysterio, Spider-Man kind of thing.
Yeah, like a little like Mysterio kind of a thing. Like if I don't know if that's, I kind of want this to be a real monster movie, to be quite honest.
I think so too.
Yeah, that goes the Scooby-Doo route for me.
Totally.
Yeah.
That is absolutely
Mysterio Spider-Man is such a good example.
I feel like
so
that was
disappointing.
inspired by Scooby-Doo, though, in a way.
Yeah, totally.
But it's the right movie. It's the right property to do that in. It needs to be a real monster. So let's like, all right.
Well,
so
I
Meryl Streep.
feel
Maybe
like
she's just in a mocap suit for no reason. Like that's her uniform.
That's my. I've always wanted to make a superhero movie, but like Galaxy Quest in the superhero world, and have one of the like a team of guys playing the Avengers have to save the world, but one of them is in a mocap suit the whole time.
That's their
Anyway.
super suit. I think we can think of a creative way to actually have her be two characters, or that to be, central to the story in some.
We don't have to spend time on that
I don't think
at all.
It's sort of the Superman or Lois situation where it's like let's come back later and figure out how to. Put
But like we're joking, but that's like a legitimate possibility. Is like the digital character and real character.
No, 100%.
Like
No, it 100% is. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So a really cool cold open, and in that cold open, we show the team killing it.
Yeah, they're like on the Great Wall
and-
of China doing a big mission or something. Who knows? Beautiful location.
It's just
Motorcycles jumping
some
off
incredibly.
things.
Yes.
It's just some incredibly cool team sequence. It's like the opening of Ghost Protocol, but without the not the opening, but it's like the Kremlin, but without the end of that sequence where everything goes around.
Yeah.
Like or the Vatican scene from MI3. I'm just talking about mission movies that.
And then you get to
the
see,
opening of
like-
Fallout. That the freaking mousetrap beginning of Fallout is a good
man.
example of.
Yes.
And then you show the team killing, get to know them, and then you have your main character get their mission, and it's to go to some specific location. And maybe it'd be cool. Here's what we do: they are going in to find out what happened to the previous team, just like with Annihilation and with all these kind of movies. It's like we sent a previous team, all we got was this tape, or all we got was this message, this clue, this something. So they go out to this place. So that was really good. That was absolutely
It was
fantastic.
actually, for a second, I thought it was a bad signal. And then I was like, oh, I see what he's doing.
So they get that. It was tape. And I'm going to type that real quick. Get mission. It was tape. They get to the location, and then we spend the first half of Act 2 just getting our bearings and trying to figure out what the hell happened here before they got here. We get one death in there. So let's talk about like what is this location they're going to? What kind of monster movie?
I was just gonna say, I think when we talk about monster movies, and I really love Connolly's idea of possibly this Ethan Hunt-esque figure getting killed off first. I think it's natural to have like a science gal be like the protagonist, and her sort of, since we're talking about monsters, if there was someone who is like, like the Benji, who's like super smart and sort of nerdy, them being like sort of figuring out how to take out these monsters using some sort of biology.
I like the idea of the guy in the chair or the girl in the chair being the
Yes.
actual protagonist of the film and being the only one left. That's very, very cool. As long as nobody says in English, please. I do not want anyone in this movie to say in English. That's one of my
that
least
trope is
favorite
so
things.
funny. Yeah.
It's the worst.
But that's I was just thinking about that, and I was like, that interests me a lot, like that person being the protagonist, because if we could, once we enter that monster world and our spies are sort of put in a situation where they're kind of losing their bearings a little bit, having that person suddenly become the leader is interesting to me.
Which is funny because we're pitching this to
I love
Cammie.
the idea of flipping that.
What's funny is we're pitching this to Cammie, and that was originally me and Cammie's idea for her character in Go Bag, and we had to abandon a lot of the backstory stuff, but we built her character. That's why she has blue hair, because she was like this techie person who sat at a chair most of the time. Anyway,
Nice.
that's not helping us.
Be sure
Our
to use that in the pitch to make her like it better.
I will. It won't work. I feel like our leader should die at the midpoint. I think then that's interesting, rather than dying like being the first one, like Sam Jackson style. I say that, and Sam Jackson may die at the midpoint of Deep Blue Sea. I have not story clocked Deep Blue Sea. It's a sin.
That's like the
It's a shame.
go-to when
Yeah,
you're studying plot. It's like
Should have been the first. It's Deep Blue
It's like
Sea.
the story structure of Deep Blue Sea. The
Talk
next
about
video essay.
Oscar bait, baby.
I think Film
Oh my
Rant did a
gosh.
video essay on Deep Blue Sea a while back.
3, actually. It's a 3-parter.
Jumping in here real quick to tell you all about the Story Clock Workbook from Plot Devices. The Story Clock Workbook was built for getting your story ideas out of your head alive. Okay, here's the actual deal with this ad. Most people, myself included, try to skip these little mid-roll sponsor breaks by hitting that skip ahead 30 seconds button built into most podcast apps, but you didn't. You said to yourself, Chrissy, don't hit that skip button. Seth Worley is talking and you respect him. And I heard you, Chrissy. That's why I'm going to reward it with a secret code to get 25% off your first order of the Story Clock Workbook. Just enter code Thanks Chrissy, THANKSCHRISSY at checkout. Now remember, this code is just for you and not for those other people who skipped ahead to this moment right here. Learn more about how you can use the Story Clock Workbook to develop your story ideas at plotdevices.co. Thanks, Chrissy. I mean, everyone.
But yeah, I think midpoint, that's a surprising thing to throw in the midpoint.
Yeah, I like
what are our monsters? And the problem here is that spy movies are by nature superficial. And I learned that from behind the scenes on Inception, the challenge Chris Nolan had in like turning a heist movie and finding that emotional core of a heist movie, which he did in Inception like crazy. It's like spy movies are by nature, and that's why Skyfall is so good, is because they found an emotional core of a story to tell for Bond that was like so deeply emotional and human. So like I'm sitting here, I'm like, normally if I'm like, what are our monsters? Well, what are the themes we're exploring? We don't have any themes. Like we've just got, this structure of people go to this place. So like we're getting there with, I like this girl in the chair becoming the leader thing. I guess I'm getting at is like, I would love for us to figure out a theme at some point to be looking for it, but
Totally.
I think we should figure out what our monsters are.
I think too, something that would be interesting is, this isn't what the monsters are at all, but like in the beginning, we show how unified they are, how trusting they are of each other. So then in Act 2, we break that apart with everything else. Like, could they start losing their trust in each other because of what this thing is or what's going on? Like, is it a straight up like movie monster physically attack, or is there something else that could kind of?
Since spy movies are so much about trust, then who do you trust? Who do you not trust?
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
That's
exactly where I was going.
Totally. If the monsters are building that distrust in them as part of their tactic,
right?
Is this
100%
spin-off?
And is there a way that we can, in the opening, the cold open needs to show how things go right? Like whatever we show in the cold open needs to be like that they all do right needs to be the point of attack for whatever our thing is doing to them. Meaning like, Connolly, you keep talking while I'll figure out what I actually meant.
Well, if it was something like, they go to this place and I don't know, the bad version is, it's an infection, like the crazies or, the ruin or whatever. If they go to this place and that's what it is, maybe there could be a remnant of the last team still there. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's a monster from within
the last
sort
team.
of thing.
Someone needs to be alive.
Becomes the monsters.
Right. And so now, somehow that's whether it's, the thing is an alien and it can, look like any of them, or, I think, what is it? The crazies. I think I don't know what it is, but it's like an infection that gets almost zombie-like. Whether it's one of those, if it could be something that starts to, alter them from within. And then you start finding like, oh, okay, I can see where I can start throwing darts at themes here. Just friends becoming enemies as they do across timeframes that we've gone through right now. You've seen people that you adore and love, and you're like, you're starting to see elements you never saw before. So those are themes that could start, manifesting through that sort of angle.
Is there anything, any reason to like play with the idea of a history between our actual
Intimate.
protagonist, the girl in the chair, and yes, intimate, and the just like with Annihilation, Annihilation did this. Congo even did this. Like I'd forgotten that Laura Linney and Bruce Campbell's character were supposedly like engaged, and so she was going to find him, but he was like dead the whole time. So it made no sense.
With our assignment being intimate, I definitely think it'd be a shame to not build some of that either friendship or a romantic love interest. It doesn't
have to be romantic. What if it was an abusive relationship, and she's not told anybody?
I was just thinking that, but what if it was with the Ethan character, and so when he dies in midpoint, there's no closure, and she has to process the lack of being able to address the thing she never did. So through the course of this thing, she takes control, in a different way to be able to process this thing.
Which sucks more? I mean, for the character, not actually is a bad idea. That you can answer too.
That is the most
which sucks more? Something. Ryan's first idea, Ryan's second idea.
But what sucks for the character more? To have Ethan, which I keep thinking is like a Jim Phelps because that was like the person who died in, but like the Ethan Hunt character actually be if that character is the only person that like is like a source of comfort or confidence for the main character and like whatever history she has with someone from the other team that was there. And so losing that person, it's like, now I have to deal with this and process this on my own. I feel like you always want to be paralleling the external and the internal.
Yeah,
and so like
I agree with
you know what I mean? She's left to have to process her pain on her own, but also deal with this monster on her own as well. That is.
Yeah, you're right. I like that way better because then, we're doubling up on her. Like, one, she's losing this thing that was a source of strength for her. And two, we can have her literally face what was an emotional monster and now is a physical monster for her.
And the monsters are always...
I like that a lot better.
I think Blake Snyder describes that monsters are always... The monster of a monster movie is always a sin. Like, it's always actually something the main character did wrong or something. So, like, or something... Like, I like the idea that the real monster in the story... And there are other movies have done this. We're not the first ones to think of this, but like to tell, a victim survival story, like, of some kind of spousal abuse or something like that. Oh God, 10 Cloverfield Lane is a great example of one that like tells the story of like the cycle of abuse through like a very clear external parallel to that.
What's interesting to me thematically is like she would be going to save this person and then realize, they can't be saved,
if she doesn't know it was an abusive relationship until some evidence that's there. Basically, she doesn't know that the guy... Basically, it's like the man she loves is out there possibly dead. But then it turns out when she gets there, there's evidence to believe that he was actually not a great...
Yeah, like maybe it was more of even a lying to herself thing. Because, we all have people in our lives that it's really toxic. Yeah. And you allow it to stay there. And it poisons you because you're trying to salvage. And at some point you realize like, this isn't good for either of us. I have to sever this. Like you realize, maybe not like the literal, to an extreme, but even on a small scale.
Denial is such a big part of that.
And what you're getting at is that she's infected by whatever this thing is throughout the whole movie and doesn't realize it until the third act, and she has to sever herself from it. That like her paranoia is coming from that infection.
Seth, yes, that is so good. Yes,
and that's our big 100%. Inversion and twist is that maybe she hasn't been killing anybody, but like she's not uninfected. Like she is actually like
and she could actually. I mean, plot wise, she could get infected when they first get there, and we could have let you know that, but you don't know that yet. And then later you're like, oh my God, it's the I am the one who knocks moment. The whole time she's been affected, and I should have known that. That's really interesting. I love that. One, from a plot point, and two, thematically, I adore that.
So, how much time do we have left? Because I think
we have 10 minutes left till
we need to come up. I think we need. This feels like a lot of cool ideas, but it doesn't feel like a pitch yet. Like,
no.
What is this? Like, I feel like we're going to, will we find that in the external? Like, I feel like we need to be able to say it in like the elevator pitch, like in the log line, like, what is this movie? What is this movie?
I am so bad at an elevator pitch. Like I need 18 pages to give you a treatment.
That's why I asked you guys. Yep.
This is Mission Impossible.
Well, one thing is like, do we need to know the location? Is that a part of the like?
I think that would help. And I especially think
a Mission Impossible team is sent to X and discovers that it's Y, I mean, just saying Mission Impossible meets the thing
is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think maybe we don't release this and the three of us just keep breaking this story.
But what I was going to say is the castle sort of thing and them going deeper, that is less interesting to me now that we have sort of our monster, because
I want a really broad, like either a jungle or a desert. Like I want a broad spy location.
Like my brain went right to like Chernobyl, right? It's like this place that used to be this massive thing.
But
then I think it becomes a winter movie. Then it becomes a winter movie, and we want to make a summer movie here.
And like, the monsters, I feel like they should.
Well, no, I don't mean literally Chernobyl. I mean like what Chernobyl is. Like there's an invisible barrier keeping people out.
Right. You're right. Totally. Yes, and I think that's actually a good way to think, though.
The thing that was interesting about Antarctica with the thing was because it was like no one could come in or out, and this thing is here, and now you're stuck.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I think that with the monsters, they need to, with them sort of still being humanoid in a way, or, appearing human, that something like that, where they're sort of stuck in a location and they don't know who to trust, something that is really self-contained like that is more interesting than, I don't know, this chamber of halls that keeps on going and it's opening up bigger and bigger. I feel like we need to keep it
totally
pretty small.
I like the idea that it's something that gets in you and lives parallel in you. Like it allows you to keep your...
Yeah.
I like something that doesn't replace you, and also something that doesn't make you it doesn't make you pretend to be you. It it gets in you and it takes you over slowly enough to where you don't even know you're infected.
So it's like Annihilation, how it clones. It's more like...
Yeah.
It's more like
I think
it's
it has
slowly
to be
being overcome by the until you're completely consumed with it.
I think to realize the themes that we're talking about, it has to go that direction that you're saying, Seth.
And it really just it accentuates and exacerbates your own flawed parts, like in nature, right? Like it just takes basically. Right. I mean, it's like being hangry or being it really just takes, which is the name, hangry, impossible.
Sponsored by Snickers.
I want to put sponsored by Snickers after every movie title. Like that's a game I want to play. Schindler's List, sponsored by Snickers. Oh my God. So no. Oh my God is the thing. Polly sent me on Twitter the other day.
Okay, that was
Schindler.
Okay, countdown's pause.
Countdown pause.
There was you were posting about Goofy movie, and there's this meme where you start with the movie title and then you stretch it out and slop and plop Goofy.
And you
plop Goofy in the middle. So it'd be from Schindler's List, it becomes Schindler's Goofy List. And I thought it was
so dark.
One of the most shocking, hilarious things I've ever seen.
I don't know what to do.
I love that Polly went, okay, time the pauser. He immediately explained himself.
Okay.
Okay.
Countdown resumed.
What I was going to say was you were talking about being like in Antarctica and therefore knowing in and out. What if a show we love just did this, but like if maybe some kind of weather event, like a hurricane or something? Because I do love when you've got weather coming in, forcing people to stay stuck somewhere.
I mean, you have like those oil platform things in the middle of the ocean. That's a pretty cool, it's an island without being an island.
Yeah, I guess if we're thinking of like a Spies too, something interesting that they would need to go to.
What's the stuck location that they were doing a thing at?
There's the place in GoldenEye at the end where he drops Sean Bean,
the floating
to his death,
enemy base. And
that's like
clouds.
Over the big inverted dome.
Oh, right.
Big bowl. I guess an inverted dome is a bowl. Can you hand me that cereal inverted dome? That inverted cereal dome.
Yeah, I mean, something like that's really, because that's very spy. And if there's a way to put them there and then their plane is... destroyed, or
we send them to a space station in a car and they're all wearing like scuba gear.
Yes.
No.
Done.
You just, oh my God, Connolly. Andromeda Strain, a satellite falls to Earth, to a town, and infects a town. So what if a satellite or space, they're going to a satellite, or even how much of a space station can make it through the atmosphere? If they're going to a location that fell out of the sky into the middle of the jungle, and
that's good.
It's a man-made, it's our created thing. And so spies would have originally been sent there. If it's some kind of satellite or something that is a spy satellite or something that's packs a nuclear weapon or something, and the original team was sent to basically recover it and or something like that.
But do we move a little away from the spy espionage vibe though? Because it's, you're not going to be able to hide that happened.
Not if you're going to get it. If you're going to get it, no, you can hide it. Stuff falls out of the sky every day. And we don't talk about it.
That starts with the alien arriving from space. So I mean, whatever started this infection could have started, hit it in space. That's what causes it to fall down to the ground, and then they investigate.
Okay, so you mean something smaller, not an actual?
No, it could be a satellite. Even if it fell, and say if it was a spy satellite that maybe had a nuke in it or something, then you have another thing another red herring that you can use to
That's
possibly
cool,
try
because
and
when they find it, it could be missing, and that takes us to this little area over here.
And there's possibilities of another team, like Russians or somebody coming in that maybe came in to get it or were there, or so there's reason to believe halfway through the movie that the Russians or some other country is messing with them or is there. You get where I'm getting it. So if it's if it's a spy satellite in the middle of the jungle, then we're making our Jurassic Park spy movie.
Jurassic
dig
Park
that.
spy movie, baby. We've got 2.5 minutes left.
And that gives us the seed of where the thing came from. So it solves that problem too.
Space, baby.
Because you don't have to get specific. There's this ancient
No,
thing
you
from
don't.
space,
That was like, I'm going to Earth. Oh no, a satellite.
Yeah, that worked for me.
And so essentially we're telling a story about it's like Mission Impossible meets The Thing in the jungle. So it's like
the core of the story is our science gal who was in this abusive relationship with
another spy who was on the other team that went before them. So she maybe like weaseled her way onto this team. I don't know if there's a way to do that as a spy.
I think it makes sense for them to have a relationship because they're work partners or whatever,
Well, I guess what I mean is like if she somehow worked her way onto this team so she could find him. I don't know. Even if she injured the one that she replaced.
Was she infected already?
Well, that's the whole question. Is like we all go a little mad sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
we have that was Scream. That's a quote from Scream.
We all.
That's where it was originally sourced.
We've got a pretty solid.
You son of a bitch.
We've got 1 minute, 10 seconds. I mean, we have a pretty solid idea.
I mean, do we need an ending?
Probably. I mean, I think we should have
Obviously, she needs to face her monsters internally and physically, and I think we have a good opportunity to do that at the same time.
But since she is technically one of the monsters already within her, do we play up the idea of maybe an antidote or something that she can defeat that, the physical monster, to sort of symbolize the metaphorical monster that would be her abuse or our abuser? Or
I mean, you carry that stuff either way afterward, right?
Yeah.
Like in reality. So what if she, defeated the external and, this one's living with her now, and it could kind of end with that, us knowing that.
I think it probably makes sense for it to end on like she is still infected and has to live with this, But if it's metaphorically, if it's she defeats the, abuser, metaphorically, is it a thing where she just accepts that this monster lives inside of her and she tries to defeat it every day by just overcoming it? Or is it, I feel like if we're talking about this thing slowly overtaking her DNA and her becoming a monster, it would just slowly eat at her until she loses, basically,
Yeah, I mean, maybe we don't even answer that because you don't know.
Yeah.
Like if somebody takes that step to sever the toxic relationship, is that what comes next? How are they going to process that and move forward?
Well, here's what it is. It's like, is there a way to present, many movies have actually done this, I don't know, and they do it somehow brilliantly. She's aware that something is actually like a leech is on her or something like that. Like here's a terrible example of what I'm thinking. Like there's a leech on her and it actually feels pretty good. She's not going to tell anybody about it because that's a little weird. And the leech actually tells her nice things and actually like makes her feel good about herself. And the leech like, whatever, she now can taste coffee or whatever. And now she lets this leech hang out on her. But the trick is that
is it the
we somehow
COVID-19
make
vaccine?
This, yes, it's the COVID-19 vaccine. But this, and which does all of those things, everyone. Jokes aside, get yourself vaccinated.
Yeah, get your vaccine.
Get vaccinated.
The trick, if we did like, the good version of that, so it's the thing she would have to give up that's like benefiting her, but is causing her to be infected, is if we somehow, I can't think of the example of a movie that did this, but the audience for some reason, doesn't assume this is the thing that's infecting everybody. It feels like a different, separate thing.
Yeah, I mean, if other people are getting infected and this happens to her and it looks like a good thing, maybe they can, like Annihilation style, where we know they're all sort of being changed in some way. We can maybe assume that, hey, maybe there's some good in this place as well, not knowing that they're one and the same. Just because
if it's like warning her like about things, it's like it's helping her and saving her it's saving her life a few times. It's giving her some intuition against so-and-so. Mm-hmm. Like the idea of like something that she could burn off of her, she doesn't because she and we believe that it's actually like a good force, like knows of another force, or it's maybe something good came down on this satellite, she thinks, and it's going to protect them from the Russian team that showed up trying to killing them. Like, and it's actually lying to them and using them. Like that's one option that allows us to be able to like have it be a challenge for her to like make the choice to burn this thing off of her and sever from it.
Time to pitch your movie.
Oh, good. We're ready. We have it.
Well, boys, I think we're about ready to pitch. You guys ready?
Yes.
She is an improviser, actress, and small human. You can see her improvise at Third Coast Comedy Club in Nashville, Tennessee. Please welcome my dear friend, Cammy Yorker.
Yay! Welcome,
Thank
Cammie.
you. I'm very excited to be here.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you. So, Ryan, take it away.
Okay. I really want Ryan Connolly.
Well, Connolly just died.
He died, so I'll take it away. Cammie, we've got
I'm back.
he's alive.
I'm dying. It's so fast.
We have a very interesting movie to pitch for you today. Feel free to give us feedback, comments, concerns as we pitch it. But I'll start off by describing what we basically created was Mission Impossible meets The Thing. And so we have a sort of ragtag group of professional spies. We've got, an Ethan Hunt-esque leader. We've got a sort of girl at the chair, tech science gal. We've got the muscle. We've got your quintessential, spy team that when we open the film, we see this incredible Mission Impossible adventure. We see the team working like a well-oiled machine. We kind of establish all of their skills in this, they're at some fantastic location, like we're still kind of working out all the kinks in this, but imagine some
the most fantastic location there is.
These crazy stunts, we're seeing all this technology, we're seeing all their skills, and we sort of establish our team and their skills there. But what has happened basically is, let's say they're like CIA. There's this spy satellite basically has fallen down into the jungles of, where would it be, Seth?
Jungleville.
Jungletopia.
It fell into Zootopia.
This satellite has been destroyed. It falls to Earth into this jungle, and basically the CIA has sent in a team to sort of rescue, grab some of these very expensive and classified objects from the wreckage here. And the team actually doesn't come back. All they get is a tape. Our team that we've met and the opening scene is sent on a mission to basically recover, hopefully, what remains of the team that they sent the first time and the objects. I think we talked about there being also a nuclear device, nuclear missile.
So that's our team's mission, is to go basically try to, one, do what the original team was sent in to do, which is to recover the spy satellite in this exotic remote location without being caught, and also under the threat of possible other countries or spy forces like finding it first, but also to figure out what the hell happened to the previous team who stopped responding. And so that's our break into Act 2, is that they're assigned the mission and they're sent in. Now, it's important to note that we've been calling her girl in the chair or science gal. She is who, funny enough, like you and I originally talked about was your character for Go Bag. She is very much actually a protagonist of the story. Even if the leader gets a lot of screen time, we are subtly telling the story through her perspective throughout the first act and well into the second act. And we come to find out that she was in a romantic relationship with one of the spies from the first team.
One would say intimate.
One would say intimate.
I get it.
That's the name of the film. One would say intimate. And so, Connolly, well, you want to take us from there in the story from that point?
Well, okay, yeah, sure. So you have like the first act setup of who this team is, right? We start off with this, Mission Impossible-esque team pulling off this badass thing. We see what makes each person strong, what they're good at, this unified structure of them, and then we shift into our Act 2 when when they're told they have to go and find out not just what happened to this first team, but where the hell is this classified stuff? Is there someone else from some other country that has come in now too? And is this out in the open? So when we shift into Act 2, we start shifting our tone as well. You take this sci-fi quality and you start meshing it with this thriller horror with, heavy thematic elements, because really the heart and soul of the story is our lead, the science gal, who starts to take front and center. And in the midpoint really has to take front and center when our lead character, that Ethan Hunt character, ends up dying. And all of this is, going through gasp. All of this is going through.
Who made the first gasp? I didn't see Polly move.
I don't know. All of this is going through a lens of, who is doing the killing? Where is this coming from? People are starting to become monstrous, and these are all things we're going to have to figure out. But instead of having an external monster, this alien creature, this monster of some kind, it ends up being people. What we end up discovering through the course of this film is that, whatever the satellite was, whatever came down, brought something down with it that's infecting these people. So some of the people from the first team are still alive, but are no longer, the people they once were. This thing has altered them, which is heavily where our themes are going to come into play. Man becoming monster, whatever's within coming out. And we'll discover as well through the course of that thematically that this other person that she was in a romantic relationship with was a toxic one. It's something she'll start to realize as the story progresses, something she didn't quite register until this goes on. So,
or was it denial about, or was just denying,
or was it denial about,
not revealing to us, the audience, as well.
Yeah. So, you have this thriller landscape in the forest, where is it? Who is it? We can, all of these characters that in the beginning in Act 1, we were able to see what they were so good at, but now it's flipped on their head. She was always she's the tech gal, but that's no longer a thing for her. There's no tech for her to help her through this. So now she needs to become the leader, take control like she never has before, not in the relationship that, as it turns out, is toxic, not in the team unit that she was. And she starts being the leader of this team. And then, so mirroring that toxic relationship is this creature that's infecting them, which will bring us toward the end of Act 2, which I'm going to pass off to Seth.
Yeah, toward the end of Act 2,
I like this three-person pitch thing. That's great. We each get an act.
And then we're ping-ponging. Yeah, we do. So by the time we get toward the big reveal at the end of Act 2 is that she, this whole time, has been infected and did not realize it. But the thing is, this infection, it doesn't just replace you. It causes you to either do things that you would only do under extreme circumstances, or it causes your perception to warp to where it's like this rowdy distortion field around you, essentially where you are interpreting things in a very much more extremely biased way. You're acting in a much more extreme fashion. And so it's not like you're killing someone and not realizing it and blacking out. It's like you are justifying killing someone because of a variety of things that you have picked up on up to that point. And our goal here is to parallel the internal and the external throughout the story, that we have this external monster movie playing out where it's driven by paranoia. Somebody and something is harming me, but are they, or am I going crazy, or are they going crazy, or is there something else? Are we being worked? Who can I trust? And internally, there is something that she needs to cut ties with and needs to let go of and needs to process in order to continue and move on, that is actually festering and harming her, and that's toxic. We're telling that's the big external big story of this thing that's infecting her and infecting everyone, that she's left to be the one to get rid of and get rid of in herself, as well as the relationship that she thought she was coming to with this person she thought she was coming to try and save. She actually needs to purge that from her life as well. And then she also needs, purge an alien from, the world. And this thing, and from her own body. We're not sure exactly what the third act looks like. We just know that we want to take those three parallel lines and have them converge in a way that, is satisfying.
And the idea would be for this monster is to sort of take this spy movie idea of who do I trust? Can I trust my teammates? Can I trust these bad guys? Taking that and putting it legitimately inside of a monster, that the tactic of the monster is to cause distrust in others. And so we really wanted to sort of symbolize that in the antagonist of our picture.
So, which brings us to two questions. Would you go see this movie, and would you recommend it to a friend?
Right away, I'm going to say yes. I would watch this movie.
Yes!
I love me a good female protagonist. Badass, of course. And just already sort of this, like you said, these parallels of actual monster versus internal monster. And it sounds like a lot of themes of gaslighting in a way, which for a female protagonist is always going to resonate with women in general. Unfortunately, tragically. And to hear that she has to kind of end up being some kind of leader as well is super dope to me. I'm going to say yes, especially
awesome.
The idea.
Awesome.
I'm picturing it as a tropical location, right? Okay.
Totally.
That seems just super cool. She's probably going to wear some kind of great khaki button-up shirt.
Now she is.
That gets destroyed and covered in blood.
Totally,
100%.
Totally. Blood-soaked khaki is an aesthetic I will always go for.
Well, that's the name of the episode.
Blood-soaked khaki. I love that.
Yes, I would watch it. I think I would recommend it to a friend. I think almost entirely based on the themes that you guys are talking about.
What kind of friend, friend your age, would you recommend it to everyone, or are there specific people that...
Probably friends my age. So, millennials, I would say, and women in general.
But do you think you would also recommend it to people, I don't know, 40 to 49?
40 to 49, I would say early 40s, probably. Maybe. I think I would, if I watched it and it had...
It's still in the 40s.
Yeah.
If I watched it and it has the lessons that I hope it does, maybe I would recommend it to somebody in their 40s to be like, hey, pay attention. because
or aliens are going to get you.
Right. Maybe the aliens will get you, but also like it sounds like you might need to make sure that it's not, is it really the monster or is it you? I think it's you.
Who are you talking about specifically, Cam?
Don't
Is there
worry
somebody?
about it.
Let's put somebody on blast.
Yes.
No.
Well, we forgot
That's
about our
incredible.
target demo. In our defense, we forgot.
Which
but
is men, women.
Hey, that's kind of my pitch, MO.
So I would
just make whatever we want to make.
Cammie, I would love for you to try to guess. We actually had 2 genres, and so I would love for you to guess one of them. The other one you're not going to get, but
and you have to say specifically what genre we were
don't
assigned
know.
in the specific verbiage that it was assigned.
I'm thinking sci-fi thriller with maybe a spin of psychological drama.
that's cool.
You're giving us
that
too
is
much
what
credit.
it is.
You're giving us too much credit there. Yeah.
That we definitely have that. Our genre was actually spy movie.
And no, first it was monster
That's-
movie,
that's
and
true,
then we
that's
were
true.
given, and then we were getting like a
We were
monster
given
movie
a-
specifically.
Genre mash.
God, that's such a creepy, sad robot that sings that drop. Just like Genre Mash killed his dad, is what he's like. Genre Mash. Specifically, the experts go to a mysterious location and get attacked by things genre, or the Egg-Mugglegapt. Oh, and the spy movie genre. Those are the 2 that we had to mash up.
Okay.
So he basically wanted to start it off as a spy movie, and then when they arrive at that mysterious location, it starts to become something different. Just like they themselves start to become something different.
But according to you, we made it significantly cooler and more interesting and deeper. So
I mean, you could say that some.
Hey, they wanted us to go, award season
Yeah,
with it.
and
I forgot to mention.
Intimate. Yeah, that's
I
right.
forgot to mention in our pitch that Meryl Streep actually plays 2 roles in the film.
Oh my gosh.
Can I guess? Can I guess?
Absolutely, you can guess, and we'll tell you if they're right or
2
wrong.
roles I think she plays is some sort of Charlie, a la Charlie's Angels, like from the radio voice.
All right, you're correct.
Okay.
She definitely plays that person.
And she also plays the monster.
Yes.
Okay,
That's actually pretty close. That's
spec-
actually close.
We did specify the second. We did not come up with anything for the first
I
one.
am so
and we
impressed,
like your
actually.
idea a lot.
So that's who she plays now.
So
Yep,
she's
she plays
The-
now.
like
it goes with your theme. The very thing that's leading you and potentially confusing you in your mind is actually the monster.
Holy crap.
Why wasn't she on the pitch call?
Well,
Cammie,
because I'm a monster.
You'll be
Get out of
invited.
here, Connolly.
You'll be invited to the next episode as a writer in the writers' room.
She's
Yeah.
on the list.
I like.
So
She's sort of
you
the
can go to the Airtable right now.
sort of the Angela Bassett in Fallout. That's like our Meryl Streep. She's given them the
Yeah.
mission, and then once near the end, it's revealed that she was actually the original. I don't know, the original monster.
Some of my other
Okay.
attractions to this is that it seems so that you didn't have a female protagonist that was going to seemingly like eat, pray, love her way through this island and finding her people, finding herself. I like that there's a mental component that she herself is trying to figure out what was this toxic gaslighting situation, and is my khaki blood soaked or not?
The most
New
important
title.
question.
Those are the questions
that's,
to ask.
That's the sequel title. Is my khaki
Yeah.
blood soaked or not?
We're definitely heavy on theme and light on plot, but hey,
The Writers' Room Game Show with me, Ryan Connolly, and Seth Worley. Executive produced by Grant Wakefield at Weekend Video and Ann Fogerty at Plot Devices. Edited to perfection by Rene Gomez. Our art is by your buddy, Meg Lewis, and our face-melting music is by Ben Worley. The Writers' Room Game Show is a Weekend Video production in association with Plot Devices. Learn more about Weekend Video at weekend.video and check out writersroomgame.show to listen to all of our episodes and suggest your own prompts for future shows. And don't forget to rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. It really helps our show out a lot. See you in the next one.
This episode of the Writers' Room Game Show is over. It's also sponsored by Plot Devices, creators of the Story Clock Workbook. Did you know that over 84% of podcasts end with sponsor ads just like this? I had no idea, mostly because I just made that number up. If you like to make stuff up, the Story Clock Workbook is for you. It's built for taking your cool story ideas and whittling them down into actual stories. Ones you can tell over a campfire to your adolescent friends as a submission for their approval. Maybe after throwing a mysterious and seemingly flammable powder into the fire with no sign of adult supervision anywhere. Or other kinds of stories. The point is, go to plotdevices.co and purchase 27 Story Clock workbooks. And don't be friends with anyone who requires that you scare them in order to win their approval. You can learn more about the Story Clock workbook at plotdevices.co and use code GAMESHOW to get 20% off your first order.